you said you had your children in your later 30s.
38, 40, and 42.
Right. And that, how did that work for you? I mean, you have 3 children, so obviously it worked pretty well, but that is, you're pushing the envelope at that point. My sister had her children at about that time
No,
too.
you're definitely pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
You get the big AMA on your chart, and then you make the mistake of asking what that means, and it means advanced maternal age,
right,
which
right.
is, you're still in your 30s, you're not thinking of yourself as advanced age anything, but yeah, I was. And, as I said to you earlier, I met my husband when I was 35. We got engaged. I turned 36 a couple months later. We got engaged a year after that, so I was 37, and we got married when I was 37. So, it was a fast turnaround once I met my husband. I had a shorter first marriage that ended in divorce. We ended our relationship amicably and thankfully with no children, because that's a whole sticky wicket, right? When you end a marriage and there are children involved. So anyway, then Doug and I met, we got married pretty quickly, and we tried to have a baby very quickly because we saw that clock ticking and we both really wanted to have children with each other. To be honest, I wasn't feeling that urge prior to Doug. In my first marriage, I kind of knew I didn't want to. I think I might have had a sense like this wasn't going to work out, with all due respect to my first husband, who is a great guy and now is happily married to another woman with kids of his own. In any event, so my husband and I met, we got married pretty quickly, and pretty early on in that first year of trying, I went to the OBGYN to see whether I was okay, just before we went down this exasperating path that everybody goes down in their mid-30s, or women who wait. And the eggs, as it turned out, were very youthful and fine. My eggs were great. So I wasn't suffering from what you can suffer from at that age, for sure, 37, of like old eggs that are really not that fertile. That's a very real risk you're taking. To me, it wasn't even like on my mind because I wasn't really focused on children. But I was glad to hear that the eggs were in great shape. But not to get too detailed, but I have what's called a T-shaped uterus. It's basically just a smaller uterus. And so the doctor said, that'll make it a little tougher for you. Really, at any age, it would have. And so I did use IVF for all 3 of my pregnancies, and it worked like a charm. And I had 3 beautiful babies, and it worked out perfectly. So look, I'm lucky, and I realize that. If children are important to you, and hopefully they are. I mean, honestly, like I too am alarmed about the birth rate. We're not going to have a society if we don't start repopulating. But anyway, if they're important to you, you definitely should know you're taking a risk if you wait. And I think people need to be actively searching for partners, and we need to do better about helping connect them. It's like one of my missions in life, in my personal role as a human on this earth, be active about introducing men and women to each other who are single. Like I make it my mission. My husband hates it, but I just think it's part of our societal responsibility is to connect, especially good people with other good people. And in my mind, like good Christians with other good Christians, and hopefully, let them populate. That's what happens next is up to them. But we can't leave it all to Tinder. At some point, actual loving, caring human beings need to help forge relationships the way we used to. So in any event, we had the kids, and I left Fox so that I could spend more time with my children, who I was not seeing enough of. And that was a career problem of mine and a personal regret. But I rectified it, and things have been great ever since then.
So as you pointed out on the YouTube side, you've had a unique and rare career, an archetypally desirable career, you might say. And as you also pointed out, that is a situation that typifies a very small percentage of people. And yet, you speak of your children with immense fondness, let's say. And so tell me how you would explain to a younger woman how your priorities changed in the aftermath of having a baby, and what that experience was like, because it's the experiential aspect of it that I'm curious about, because my sense is that we have a category that's something like generic baby, but your own baby is not generic, right? That's an individual right from the onset. And that's not well explained, especially to young women. So I'd like to hear your experience in that regard.
I mean, it's cliche, but it is a before and after moment it is the before and after moment in your life. And it's not just when you give birth, it's when you find out you're pregnant and you have a human life growing inside of you. That's when you become a mother. I don't care if you're pro-life or not. There's no disputing that's at least a potential life in you. Even the pro-choicers have to admit that. And that's when you become a mother. That's when you start nurturing another human with your body and your energy and your chemistry and your aura, all of it. You know, your love, your faith, all of it starts nurturing that little being from that moment forward. And for me, it was like, okay, so I had the babies, I gave birth to the babies, and then you have this extraordinary moment where ideally you breastfeed your child. And that's too completely a Mother Earth moment where you are like back in connection with one of your core reasons for being, like that nurturing, that ability to nurture, grow, and take care of another human being to the point of independence. Like this is one of the first steps. And here he is, or here she is, completely dependent on you, completely in need of you, and only you can solve it. It's a beautiful feeling where you feel incredibly needed, important, and bonded to this incredibly beautiful creature who knows nothing other than love for you. That's it. They love the dads. They put them on the dad's chest, and the dad loves holding the babies. But let's be honest, that baby only has eyes for his or her mother. And there's just no fulfillment like that. There's just nothing.
That's the issue. You know, I think that's the crucial issue because, and this is a pathological reflection in part of the immaturity of our society, but also its consumerist element. People look for meaning, significance, purpose in the pursuit of self-centered gratification, happiness, so to speak. But that's not where you find it. Now, it has to be that way because, first of all, we have this immense dependency period. And second, we're unbelievably social, right? Like you can punish psychopaths by putting them in solitary confinement. That's how social human beings are. You can take the most antisocial people and you can torture them by not letting them around other people. Okay, so we're social to the core. So what does that mean? Well, it has to mean that we find our being in relationship to others. And the relationship that you're describing is one of opportunity and necessity. And that makes you important.
It's not just limited. It's not just limited to the infancy years. I mean, like that's just the first experience upon arrival. But I will say now my children are 15, 14, and 11. And it only gets better and more profound. I mean, for some women, the toddler years are the peak and they're very sad when the kids age out of the toddler years. For me, I was excited I couldn't wait until I could have conversations with them, back and forth that were more meaningful. And we're in that stage now. And, whatever. I went to see my daughter at a talent show and these girls were out there having the time of their lives. Many of them were just being silly, happily and intentionally making fools of themselves, like in big costumes that bump into the other girls and then they fall down and to fun music. And I cried like a small schoolgirl myself because it was this feeling of camaraderie and they were rooting for one another. And you see your child get up there, whatever she's doing, and just give it her all. Just stand in front of a microphone and try and ask the world to give her a shot, right? To give her a chance to see what she can do. It's just so bold and optimistic. And so when you have children, you're around that bold optimism all the time. Not like, whatever, your kids have vulnerable moments too. It's not all, uniformly positive and wonderful, but the vast majority is. And so you're just immersed in such a happier, more promising world. My whole outlook on life got more positive as a result of my children.
Right.
It brings into your life such positivity and promise and possibility and socialization for sure, because you're going to be not just with your kids, but with your kids' friends, parents, and interacting at school in the same way a dog gets you out into the world times X by a child, and then more and more children, and you'll have even more and more of it. So even though people know me as a career woman, and I am, and I love my career, as we talked about on the other part of the interview, I love my career. It completely energizes me and excites me. And some days coming out in front of this microphone is like a therapy for me. It just the chance to say what's real and correct the record for people out there who are being misled. There's zero competition. If you said, MK, you can go back and live these same 54 years over again, but one thing's not going to happen, either your children or your career. There's no decision to be made. As much as I adore this career, it doesn't hold a candle to my motherhood, my relationship to my children, my family, the core five, as we call ourselves, and the experiences we've had together through these last 15 years, or 16 technically, since I became a mother for the first time, as I got pregnant with my eldest. So I want, my thing is, Jordan, I want people to know that. I want young women to know that. They need to know that. But I also want young women who feel that budding love for their career, whatever it is, whether it's journalism or it's as a doctor or whatever it is that's like really grabbing them, that's okay too. You know, I worry about the conservative movement not making room for those women who've got that thing that I had, which is like, I've got to do this. This is amazing. I love it, you know, and I am a better person. And actually, I'm a better mother too, for the fact that I did become a journalist and I did all the things that I've done over the past whatever years before I had them. So my main point in speaking like to young conservative women today is, yes, valuing motherhood and understanding it alone is a valid choice and a really fulfilling one.